everyone, and welcome to the 17th episode of the Pint Sports Podcast. Once again, I'm your host, Tick, and we've got Holshy here. Holshy?
Hey, mate, how you going?
I'm very good. Schembri,
Hey.
how you going?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Very, very
Any
good.
news, Schembri?
Yes,
Any
well,
news?
some exciting news for you, isn't there?
I still haven't even... Congratulations.
Oh.
Thanks, mate.
Canberra Raiders in the 8.
That's right.
Yeah, I know, it's amazing.
I'm amazed too.
What a bundle of joy and such and all those. No, new bub?
Yes.
Very exciting, all as well.
4 weeks ago now, or just over 4 weeks.
Oh,
he was
wonderful.
born, Marty Schembri.
Very nice.
And yes, he's doing very well.
That's good to
Very
hear.
awesome,
lucky.
mate.
Yeah.
Really good.
Well, it is, what are we, first week of September. September means
Finals
footy.
Beauty.
Oh, best time of the year for some, not for others, but we're all our teams are finals bound, so
you
you have scraped
hanging
in
on by the edge of my fingernails.
Not my tip, though. My team is.
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
Not my tip.
Well, that's the more important thing, right? Like, the
I
tip is
think so.
great, but
Especially when you come in nearly last and the comp doesn't really matter, does it?
so big finals episode today. What we're going to start off with is Holsh, you brought up a good little idea of just going through. Well, when we get to this time of year, think finals footy. What's the thing that comes to your mind first of all? So we're going to run through our respective three. So who wants to go first?
Go on, you lead us off, mate.
Okay.
It's your idea.
All right. So, yeah, when I think of finals footy, for me, it was really special when I was a kid. And obviously I was a Bronx kid, but back in those days, there was a couple of teams that were like almost like the villains of the comp. And for me, the finals that they lost was actually more, like that's what stuck in my mind more. And the two teams that I hated back in the day were Balmain and Manly.
Yeah.
And the first one that I came to mind, I'll say in a sec, but the second one that came to mind was I think Darren Albert try that
97.
got Newcastle through. I think that was at the Super League year.
Yeah,
It was,
97,
that was the ARL grand final,
Yeah.
but it was in the Super League year, I think.
Yeah, and I remember it was like 15 seconds left, and he just slipped through.
Johnsy went dummy down the blind side.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, so that, but the one that always has stuck with me, and it sort of annoys me that I'm going to bring the Raiders into this podcast even more, but back in the 90s, Queenslanders loved the Raiders, full of great footballers, Belcher, Meninga, the Walters boys, the list goes on. And I hated Balmain, hated, Gary Jack, Benny Elias, Sirinen. Who was the Sirinen?
Yeah,
Roach, Steve Roach, yeah. And the 1989 grand final, Canberra versus Balmain, and Steve Jackson, that run where they started to tackle him about 12 metres out and just fell off him. He just kept ploughing forward and going along. Like, for me as a kid, I still always think back how much fun and how much energy, everyone in the lounge room, we had lots of families watching it together, and just everyone wanted Canberra to win.
Watching the Winfield Cup, probably the parents are smoking darts, the kids are getting the second-hand smoke.
back in the days when the NRL grand final was in the afternoon as well, the Sunday afternoon. Yeah. It is a great grand final, that one.
Well, you were saying before you've watched it a couple of times.
Many times. So I was only 5 years old when that game happened, so I don't remember it live, but I would have watched that at least 50 times.
Yeah.
And just the amount of the big moments that happened in that game, everything went against Balmain to not win that game.
Yeah.
So there was even those moments, I don't know if you
against
remember.
Balmain or against the...
So against Balmain.
Okay.
So there's a moment where they are winning and Benny Elias kicks a field goal and it smashed the crossbar.
Yeah.
And that's just an inch it goes over, they win the game. And then Canberra go down the other end, they score a try to equal it up. It goes into extra time. Yeah, amazing grand final.
Well, when you think of that grand final, that's put up there as there's that in the 2015 grand final, and 97 probably is the other one that they lump into the three best grand finals of all time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I kind of got 6 above them. Oh, it was 97 Bronx?
97 was the Bronx.
Yeah. There's 5 others, and then the others.
And 2015 doesn't rate a mention. Let's never speak of it again on this podcast.
No, that's
Great
it,
grand
mate. Just,
final.
Yeah,
Great
it's
moment.
just great memories from
Yep.
back in that era, and I've turned into an AFL man and a tragic at that, but the childhood, because my family were very pro NRL, and it was just, the whole family so passionate about it.
So you also mentioned you've got an AFL. Well, I'll allow you too. Cause
I'm interested in this because I thought about an AFL one as well, but we haven't spoke about this. I really want.
Well, this once again, it was just the first thing that came to mind, and for me, it was in the 2010 drawn final.
I knew you were going to say that, and that was what I thought of. It was
the Brendan Goddard mark for me.
That was amazing.
Yeah, it was the game.
You were there, weren't you?
I was there, and we were looking. So we were right behind the goalpost at the far end.
Was it like kissing your sister? Is that what they say? You don't have a sister. I don't know what it's like either.
Yeah, I don't know. But, exactly like that. And St Kilda losing the whole match at this point. And at this moment, it was 61 all. And Brendan Goddard's just come through the three. It was, they
Who was the other team?
Collingwood.
Okay, yeah.
And obviously slotted the goal to put him in front, and then ended up a draw. But for me, like that moment in that game, because I was very drunk at the match, and that is still I could still picture it clear as day.
Yeah.
My view and him taking it, and like just everyone in the crowd going, "Holy wow!"
So he had to kick the goal to tie it. Is that right?
That put him in front. 67-61 in front.
Yeah.
So, but there was lots of other moments in that game
bounce,
as well. The bounce from Milne,
Stephen Milne,
But so anyway, like that was when I think of footy, both codes, like they're the two moments for me that I'm like.
When I thought of AFL, that's the moment I thought of as well, actually.
Okay. So what have you gone with for your...
for
which
rugby
Canberra
league.
moment have you gone with?
So, one quick one, selfish, but it was the 94 grand final. So I was, like I said, a little bit young for the 89 one, but as a kid, I loved Canberra, and I have all the way through. Because of Mal. Mal was my hero. He was this giant of a man that just used to run over the top of everyone. And I can just remember him just being so dominant, so powerful, and he was why I became a Canberra fan.
He's almost like a video game character, isn't he? Like you almost don't
Wreck-It
believe
Ralph.
you don't believe that he's real. Almost, I used to get that about bands, thinking they weren't real, just because you didn't have the internet, and you just heard music and you went, "That sounds robotic," or
And so the first grand final that I remember watching, it was 1994. Canberra was in it, and they won the grand final quite convincingly against Canterbury. But the last try of the game, Mal took an intercept and runs, I don't know, whatever it was, 40 metres or whatever. By the end of by the end of that night, it was 100. But just that moment to me, it was a little bit selfish, but that was the first thing that came to mind. Moving away from Canberra, and you have mentioned it already, the 2015 grand final was, but it was pretty.
Oh, it was fantastic.
It was pretty special.
Yeah.
That's why it's going to be so good when Brisbane win this year, just so we can wipe those memories.
I guess because living in Townsville, you experience the ride of the Cowboys. I'm not a Cowboys fan, but happy to see them do well in those sorts of moments, and very happy for Thurston to get that moment the way he did. That was pretty special how it all finished. That play that was crazy for Kyle Felt to score in the corner, his kick that smashes the goalpost, and then obviously the field goal in extra time.
Turn that mic down. I'm sick of this already.
But that was another one that came to mind as an epic final, grand final.
That match was scintillating, all 80 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, you've both gone with grand final moments and exclusively grand final moments. My first thought wasn't a grand final moment.
Okay.
My first thought was a 2006 prelim final, Broncos versus Canterbury, where they tried to, we're down 20-6 at half, or near enough to half time, and Sean Berrigan scores a try. It's an absolute epic. Hodges takes it to the back, throws a pretty flat ball to Berrigan, who runs about 60 metres and scores. But that comeback was just epic on its own. But I've gone for not just a game or a moment. I've gone for the 2005 lead up to the grand final for the Cowboys, and more about the feeling that was in Townsville at that time. I was just talking about this the other day to my boss about the vibe in the city was just epic, and you'll just never get that again. It started in 2004, that first time they made the finals. I remember watching them beat Canterbury the first week, sitting with mates having a cup of tea of all things at age 18, watching that game. The next week they played the Broncos, beat them 10-0.
In Townsville.
That's the first time I would have ever backed against the Broncos. I was a Cowboys fan that night.
What?
Purely because I knew the Broncos couldn't win it that year. The Cowboys were.
So you left them.
I did for that one fleeting moment.
You sure you want that on record?
I'm proud. What I will say is, until the 2nd of October 2015,
you could never be a Carlton supporter.
I was as big of a Cowboys fan as most Cowboys fans. You know, I supported the Cowboys side by side. Broncos was by far and away above, but I'd watch every Cowboys game until that moment, and then I hated them from that point. And I finally come around again now. Like last year, I went to the prelim, and I kind of went, you know, so many of the people that I know like the Cowboys. I think I've got to let this hatred of them go to a point where I can be happy for other people to enjoy their team's success. But going back to the 2005, that feeling in town, you know, the buses, you know, driving down the streets just lined with people.
So that was the year then that they played Parramatta in the prelim,
yes,
is that right? And they were the heavy underdogs.
Yeah.
And they smashed them.
Yeah, 29-0, yeah.
That's right.
So, yeah, just that feeling around town. I remember the grand final itself at a mate's place. Heard Dakota by Stereophonics for the first time.
Yeah.
Oh, what a ripping song. I remember all of that from that day.
Yeah. That's cool.
Just the essence of the town at that time would have been, you know, 97 with Newcastle.
Yep.
A similar vibe to that, you know, just these small kind of regional towns having this massive moment. And I think even that 2005 lead up to that grand final was probably more epic than the fallout or the lead up to 2015 because by that stage the Cowboys had some success over a period where they were making finals. It wasn't as big of a deal, I suppose, but in 2005 it was still fresh and it was
that's
wonderful.
cool.
I rate that. I wasn't in Townsville at that point in time, so but I can imagine even just from how you're describing it.
Yeah. Oh, it was just a great time. It was just fantastic. And,
yeah, you're right.
Especially that you weren't a Broncos fan during that time.
I was a realist as well, and I think my fanaticism has gone a lot deeper than it was back in 2004. Because you got to remember, 2004, I would have started supporting the Broncos in 92, so we've won 92, 93, 97, 98, 2000. By the time 2004 rolls around, you're like, we'll get them. We'll get another one soon. And we did 2 years later.
2006. Yeah.
And then I thought, we'll probably get another one next year and the year after and the one after that. And Jared Beale definitely won't break Lockyer's cheekbone in 2011. We'll win that one. And 2015. Anyway, we're looking good for 2023.
No, I like that. That's really cool.
It's just great that in whether it's good or bad, finals bring out those sorts of memories, those sorts of moments, and I hope we see some both in the NRL and AFL over the next few weeks.
It's not just good memories you have. You know, you bring up 2015. I remember 2008 when the Broncos lost to the Storm. Ashton Sims drops a ball and they scored.
And Greg Inglis scored right at the end.
I remember sitting with my mate Killer, and we just sat in silence for probably half an hour after. It was just awful. Yep. One of the worst periods of my life. It's hot in here, isn't it?
Oh man. Man. But the Bronx played so well that match.
Yeah,
they did everything but win it. Yeah.
Ben Hannett nearly scores a try, and Bennett's up in the box.
Who dropped the ball?
Ashton Sims.
Okay, yeah. Gosh, what a mistake.
What a dog. I'll never forgive you. Never liked so, all right.
Love that. That was good.
There was a good little nostalgia trip for all of us there. So, obviously, then we've got the finals series coming up for both the AFL and the NRL. They kind of run side by side in exact unison, and the grand finals on the same weekend. It didn't used to be like that, did it, a little while ago? I'm always sure the AFL season would finish a week before the NRL season.
Since the AFL brought in the pre-final week by. But you're right, they did finish a week before.
I kind of like that idea of having a grand final weekend kind of thing. Because, you know, even not being an AFL fan, I'll always watch the grand final just because it is a part of our culture, really.
So. I like that idea.
So, big matchups for the
it's huge
for the AFL finals.
AFL, okay.
Yeah, we'll kick off with the AFL. So kicking off on Thursday night with Collingwood against Melbourne.
Demons,
Demons.
You'd expect this is going to be close to 100,000 at the G.
Is this the match of the
Well,
finals,
I would say from a crowd side of things and even, I guess, viewership, I would think it would be...
Is this 1v4 or 2v3?
1v4, yeah. But two genuine, right up there, probably in the top 3. Probably in the top 3
definitely in the top
on
4,
sports
though.
bet, I'd say in the top 3, because Port Adelaide sort of slipped a bit in their form. But, yeah, it's, two very loyal, big supporter bases.
Yeah.
So,
and that's Thursday night, right?
Thursday night.
I might watch that because nothing else will be on. And
it'll be a great game.
There's nothing better than sport and electricity coming through the TV. Well, you got that with the Matildas, that run. You really felt that come through the TV where it really kind of spikes you. Might put some money on one of the teams. So I've got.
Who are you tipping?
I'm going to go with Melbourne.
Right.
Melbourne is the home of AFL.
Me too.
So Melbourne is the name of the team, so I'm going with Melbourne.
Right.
I'm going to go D's as well.
Right.
Demons.
Yep.
I think they're a very hard team and Collingwood. Yeah. Collingwood are still missing Dacos, which gives them that run. He still is favourite, I think, for the Brownlow.
Is he?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, he's nearly on par probably with Bontempelli, so... I think with him out, Melbourne might just do them.
If we look at the Sports Whisperer competition as well, there's 11 people who have picked Collingwood and 21 who have picked Melbourne as well. So it's a pretty tightly
it'll be close match.
But they obviously get the second chance as well.
We're all on the D's.
So not all is lost in that game if you're out. So next game up, I don't know if I've got these in order.
Yeah, that's right.
Carlton versus the Sydney Swans. Now,
that's
Swannies, we got to go the Swannies in this one or what? Shit.
Yeah.
Protect me.
Can I just say, as a Carlton supporter, it's been 10 years since we're in finals, and the only reason we made those finals was because Essendon were done for drugs.
Yep.
And we were ninth and slipped in. It's the feeling amongst the club it's ridiculous. I expect, even though that's not a Melbourne team playing at the G, I would expect there's going to be 90,000 plus at that game because Carlton returned to football.
So then this is 5th versus 8th, is that right?
Yeah, fifth versus 8th.
So this is it. All chocolates on the line here. It's
correct. Yeah. Look, I said to you guys before the podcast, I'm nervous every single game that Carlton plays, even if they're playing the worst team in the comp. Like that's the type of team they've been for 20 years. But I genuinely feel confident that we're going to come out and bruise Swans and put them into submission.
Have they? Sorry, you go. I was just going to say, have they got any players out through injury or anything like that?
That's the beautiful thing. We've got everyone back. Blake Acres, who's a gun, is the only one he should be playing, but he had a shoulder knock in the last game and he had to go subbed off in the second quarter, but there was no break or anything, and they're saying, with the good old needle that he'll probably play. But he's good
to get one of those needles. Hey, like they do some pretty good shit. Like my knees are always
I
wouldn't mind just to see how good it is.
But no, look,
I don't think I need a needle for a 2K run. But
if Carlton win that, I will be flying to Melbourne the next week to play whoever they're playing out of Collingwood, Melbourne.
I was going to ask about their season as a whole because I know you'd started a little podcast. And it got thrown in the bin pretty early because people weren't happy with how you were going. So they obviously started pretty well.
First 4 games of the year, they won 3 and drew 1.
Yep.
So undefeated after 4. And then 10 games.
It was a round 1 draw, wasn't it?
Yeah. And then 10 games. The next 10 games we lost 9. Wow. And the only game we won was West Coast, who were the bottom team, which was basically a bye for everyone at that time of the year. So essentially, you couldn't count that win. So 9 straight losses.
Yep.
We're coming 15th. It was just written off.
Okay.
And then we won 9 straight.
Yeah. Still on that run now? Or?
No. So the last game, with the way that the results had gone before they played, they were 5th. They couldn't come 4th, but they couldn't get to 6th either. So the team they were playing, GWS, it was like a final for them. Mm-hmm. Really, all they were trying to do was make sure Charlie got the Coleman, which he did in the first 10 minutes of the match. And then, you could just see like they had everything to play for. We didn't want injuries.
Jumping over to the NRL, did they rest players or probably not a thing because of the
They did rest players,
Okay,
They rest Cripps and Doherty, who are 2 probably 2 of our top 5.
Mentally, it's not the worst thing in the world to
I
have that
agree.
loss leading into the final. You're on that 9 run straight. There's just always that thing of the more you win, the closer you are to a loss. And
well, then there's that 2-week break as well. So you kind of that loss is quite distant when you have that week off.
Yeah.
So, right now they've got, it's the first, I said to the guys today that in our Carlton group, I said, this has to be our strongest team we've had in over 10 years, easily. As in, we've got everyone actually on the field at once. Like, that hasn't happened once this year.
No.
Well, traditionally that is the case with most, I know in NRL in particular, they always look at the roster that you've used for the year and match that up against, how many have you used? And generally it's the team who uses the least that wins, because injuries is just that rotation of players throughout a team. If you can always just plug in 1 or 2, makes a big difference at the end of the year. And being fit and healthy is the biggest thing, really, at this time.
I've never been so excited. My wife is pretty selfish, is going on a walk this weekend, else I'd be in Melbourne this weekend. But she booked it 4 months ago.
How dare she go on a long walk?
She knew when we were coming 15th, we still had 1.6% chance of making the finals.
The week 2 game will be pretty damn special because it's Collingwood or Melbourne.
Yeah, I know.
So they just got to get through this week, which I think they, I'm going to go with Carlton as well. And I'll tell you why, is Sydney's been a side that's had a lot of success over the last 10 years. For the game, I think it would be great to see Carlton go on a little bit of a run.
So it's a pity. It's a pity, yes.
It's a pity vote, yeah.
I'm going with Carlton because I'm afraid of Holsh. We're in his house and he might have weapons handy that we don't know about.
Like the Matildas fever. Just imagine the Blues get on a roll. I think that's going to be great for the game.
Yeah. Who are you going?
Sydney.
The reverse curse! The reverse curse!
Yes, I should do that. Carlton by 20.
13 have picked Carlton, 9 have picked the Swans, so another close one there. Next game, St Kilda and the GWS Giants. So this must be 6th versus 7th, right?
Yep, that's right.
And no one's picked either of these teams.
Right.
So I'm going to go the Giants.
I'll go the Saints.
I'm going to go the Giants. I think the Giants have a better all-round. Just their forward line, I think, is a little bit better than St Kilda. St Kilda, very defence-orientated. I'm going to go Giants.
Right.
Yeah. And then the final game, we've got the Brisbane Lions versus Port Adelaide. Now, 2 people have picked Port Adelaide. We've got Tinners and the old mate Big Swag Ryan Rogers.
Big Swag.
So they'll obviously be rooting for the Port Adelaide power, and I'm going for the Brisbane Lions because I tipped them in the comp, and they're the closest geographical team to me right now.
What do you reckon?
Lions.
Yeah, look, I think this one's going to be a lot closer than people expect because Port Adelaide have got everyone back now. They went on a bit of a slide there, but they had so many injuries. I'm going to go Port.
Okay.
Yeah. Surprise.
Very good. Wow.
I do agree with you. I think it's going to be a lot closer than everyone thinks it's going to be.
Everyone thinks Lions.
There's a lot of pressure on Brisbane. They really need to win this game because they've been a side that's been pushing into the top 4 the last few years, but they haven't got a grand final. They keep falling over at the prelim stage. I think there's a lot of pressure on them.
I really enjoyed their run last year. It was something for whatever reason, got behind the Lions in that run towards the...
Well, they beat Melbourne in Melbourne, I think, week 2, wasn't it?
But they had a lot of epic wins as well, didn't they? It was come from behind or pretty close games.
They're an exciting team to watch, the Lions. I hope the Lions beat them, obviously. I don't want Port. I hate Port.
All right, you mentioned before the Coleman medals, so you've already revealed the winner, but it's not like it's a secret. It's out there for everyone. Charlie Curnow with 78 goals, winning the Coleman medal this year. 25 tipsters picked that one correctly. Second was Taylor Walker with 76. 0 people picked that one. Nick Larkey, 71, and you mentioned that he's from the team coming second last.
So yes. And they would have been last if they didn't win the last game of the year.
Okay, there you
There's
go.
a whole story behind that.
Yes.
And then
win the game that they actually don't want to win after they lose 20 in a row or whatever.
Is that a draft thing? Or
Yeah.
Okay, yep. And then Toby Green coming 4th with 60 goals, so a fair way behind the top 3. And only one person picked Toby, and that's David Sheehan. So congratulations.
What did you think of Toby,
6
captain
points?
of All Australian?
Yeah, I think he deserved it.
Had a good year?
I think he's amazing.
Yeah.
I hate him.
Yeah, okay.
But if he was in my
player.
team, he'd be like your absolute cult hero.
Yep.
He's a grub. So, but
They're in your
he's
team, they're
tough and he gets the job done. It's different when you're a grub, but you can do it.
Yep.
Like you can perform.
I think you can always respect a good grub if they are good at, like, an example came up, Luai, one of the most hated people in the game, whereas Paul Gallen was also one of the most hated, but you respected Gallen because of the fact that he was a fierce competitor, and you kind of went, well, you've got some grounding behind being a grub, whereas Luai just go, you just general grubness vibes. That is the official stance, by the way, of the pint, so come at us.
We're on to the NRL.
NRL finals.
Yeah. Unless you got something else for the
No.
Okay. So NRL finals kicking off on Friday night. We've got the Brisbane Broncos versus Melbourne Storm. Now, I think this is, all bias aside, the match of the final series.
I agree.
It's probably the two teams that are most evenly matched. We've got the Hoodoo to contend with, which, it's one of those things that's it's fine in a fan's mind to have the Hoodoo hanging over your head, but as a player, as long as they're not thinking it's a thing, because realistically you can go back as long as you want. None of these players were involved in the matches back in 2009 or 2016 or anything like that.
Not even last week.
That's right, yeah. So you can write that one off pretty much. But, you've almost got good excuses for the last run since 2016. I think since then, the Storm have won 3 minor premierships, 2 premierships. They're in the top 4 every single time. During that period, Brisbane's been at their worst. So take of that from what you will, but if they haven't won in 14 games, well, they've been good and we've been bad. So, statistically,
what is it about Melbourne, but why do they match up well against Brisbane?
I think it's, and who was I read listening to an interview about this the other day? I can't remember who it was with, but they were basically saying because of the start of Melbourne in '98, they took a lot of, John Rebo came over from the Broncos. They had recruitment people come over from the Broncos. They had a pretty heavy Broncos culture. They didn't take so many players over with them, but the coaching staff, Bellamy, he was at the it was all of this kind of stuff. And then I think it was just the Queenslander element. They were pulling them from under their feet. And then obviously the 2006 grand final as well probably adds a little bit to that. I don't think Bellamy's a man who takes losing quite well.
It's a really interesting game. I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think I said it before, I finally come around to the realisation that maybe I should be confident and that we are a good team, even
Brisbane are a very good side. They are.
Thank you, I needed that.
Brisbane's biggest challenge is themselves.
Yep.
Sides that have got on top of them, from what I've seen this year, have been sides that have brought them down to playing their level.
Play the scrap kind of thing,
And they've tried to be flashy instead of win the game first.
Yep.
And I'll use Brisbane as an example when they've played Canberra earlier this year. Brisbane tried to beat them, flashy plays, and they made a heap of mistakes, and Canberra scrapped them out and won the game. Come a couple of weeks ago, Brisbane learnt from that. They weren't good at all against Canberra, but they just won that game by staying in the fight and then blew Canberra away at the end. I think their biggest enemy is themselves.
I don't know if that's just a part of the style. Like they are going to have those games like that one where they are going to drop a lot of ball because they are trying a lot of stuff. Statistically, I don't think they're going to match up well when you look at errors and all those kind of things. But they attack from deep, so they don't have many tackles inside the 20 because they're more often than not scoring from outside the 20. So you can look at that stat and go, oh wow, they're not getting it. They're not making those meters, but they're scoring a lot from 40 out.
They are.
So I think Matt's right. They have learnt that there is times where you need to just
muscle up.
That's right.
Grind it out.
Just take the even up with the arm wrestle for a period of time, and the moment will come because they have the power, the sky scoring.
It's funny how Melbourne just always comes back to being this time of year hitting the straps at the right time because if you looked at them halfway through the year, you went not so much of a threat, but you look at that team list now and go, God, they've got a good team from 1 through 17.
It's the threat of what they could do. I mean, you look at guys like Munster and Harry Grant. If they have big games, Melbourne are going to do very well.
Oh, God, yeah. They can pull them just off their own kind of things.
The two players for me from Brisbane, when you watch Reece Walsh, I'm not a hugest fan of him. He'll grow up, but his speed laterally is just amazing. He just creates overlaps because he just seems to move so quick.
Yeah.
And creates those chances. Selwyn Cobbo scored the easiest hat trick against Canberra by just Reece Walsh. His movement. And the other player that I think is set for a big final series is Billy Walters. Yep. So a couple of weeks ago we were talking about Ben Hunt might have gone to Brisbane and he would have played hooker for the rest of the season. Billy Walters, since that moment, has been probably the best hooker in the competition. Yeah,
that's probably
He's been an amazing player, and I hope he goes well. That's the sort of key player. I mean, obviously you've got your Carrigans, your Haas, all those sorts of players. Billy Walters, I think he's the player for them.
Ezra Mam's backup work as well.
Yeah.
He's there every time.
Yep.
And
he can hit in defence. I know people talk about his defence being poor at times. I'm like, he is a pretty small dude. But when he hits, he can hit. It's pretty amazing. I think 1 to 17.
So who are we picking?
I am tipping the Broncos, and I'm feeling kind of confident-ish.
Brisbane.
Yeah, I'm going to go Brisbane. I think it's going to be a packed house.
Yep.
And I just got a feeling they're going to...
You won't be watching it.
No, Carlton's playing at the same time. No, I'll watch the 30-minute
Suncorp Stadium. That will be unreal.
Yeah. Brisbane, 5 people have tipped the Broncos. 15 have tipped Melbourne. Moving on to the second game, which was moved to... I think they moved that one around so that the Warriors would have that at a reasonable time for them, which I think is a good decision. Down in Penrith versus the Warriors. What are our thoughts on that one?
Penrith by 30.
30's it's a big margin, but I think it's going to be a big victory to Penrith as well. I think the Warriors, they've come into the finals pretty scratchy, playing some pretty poor teams over the last probably 8 weeks or so. So
I agree with both of you. I'm tipping the Warriors just because I don't want Penrith to win.
Up the wires.
Penrith are an amazing side. They're very dominant. I just would like to see the Warriors go on a
Where is
run.
it played?
At Penrith.
Penrith by 30. It's a brutal environment.
It is. I'm going Warriors, but there's absolutely no sense to that.
Yeah.
It's just more.
It's a want run.
Why don't you tip in the Sports Whisperer like that?
We'll get to that soon.
Yeah.
We've got the Sharks and the Roosters on Saturday night. Going back to the Penrith, 22 people have tipped them, which I was surprised by how low that was actually, considering. Warriors, no one picked the Warriors.
Who did you guys tip in the NRL?
I'm
gone.
Cowboys.
I tipped. Oh well, yeah, you're gone as well. I tipped South, who at May this year were on top of the table.
Well, they said it's the first team they ever drop out from.
And then they slide out to not make the finals. What a disappointing season.
Well, I tipped the Sharks, so I'm one of 9 on the Sharks, and 56 people tipped the Roosters, which not looking too great now. But I'm surprised how many tipped the Roosters over the Panthers. 56 for the Roosters and only 22 for the Panthers. But, I picked the Sharks, not at all confident that they'll get much further than this weekend. I mean, the Roosters are in a bit of form at the moment.
Did Sharks get it to be at Shark Park?
Yeah.
It is at Shark Park.
Yeah, so 13...
Which is ridiculous because half the stadium is a construction site. It's going to be sold out with 11,000 people for a final.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. I agree with the fact that they should be playing there, but the fact that half the stadium is out of action.
Yeah, see,
I think that dictates you don't get... You get the right, when you can fit a normal crowd in there. 11,000 for a finals game is ridiculous.
A nice 11.
I think AFL does this better. So, okay, I like Geelong. When we play a semi-final, it'll be at the MCG. So you've won a home semi and you're playing Richmond at the MCG.
But they will fill it. That's the difference. Yeah, but if you play this game at Allianz, they don't fill it.
Yeah, but you're going to get more than 11,000 people.
Are.
Yeah. I don't know. I just don't see how you can put a construction site as a home for a finals game. That's all.
Well, they put the camera on the other side. It's okay. You never see it. It's all right. Look, I am going to go with the Roosters in that one.
Yeah, me too. Yeah,
I think Roosters.
Yep.
The Roosters are in good form. Sharks.
Roosters are my Manly/Balmain of these days. I can't stand them. I so wanted the Cowboys to win to keep Roosters out of it on the weekend, but obviously Canberra were going to let them down anyway.
I think the injury to their fullback, Connor Tracy, that's going to hurt the Sharks because they've already lost Will Kennedy. So, unless he's back, but I don't think he's ready yet. So I'm not sure what they've picked in their side, but that'll hurt them. A lot of pressure on Nico Hines. He has to be
Well, he has to step up. He hasn't stepped up this year.
That's right,
and a lot of people had him as their Dally M pick, and he's no hope of that.
I think it's a lot of and look, they smashed Canberra. I wasn't impressed by them. I think
he's no Drinkwater, is he?
No, not at all. The final game, I'm going to miss this one actually. Unfortunately, I've got a kids' soccer break up, but I don't want to go to it. I'd rather go watch this. The Knights versus the Raiders, Sunday afternoon in Newcastle, McDonald Jones. It's going to go off. It's going to look fantastic. And I'm sorry, Schembri. I think the Knights are going to win that one
I'm
too.
obviously tipping Canberra, but there is no sense or reason to that whatsoever. Canberra are in terrible form. Ricky doesn't know what our team is. He keeps
swearing at a lamppost or something.
And he keeps deflecting that it's always the ref's fault or something.
He's terrible, isn't he?
They have no sense of form or anything about them. I hope they win, but of course, I'm scared it's going to be a bloodbath.
Well, the Knights are the form team in the not the form team, but they're on a really good run at the moment.
I think that's the only thing that can work for Canberra is, like you said earlier, a team that's on a long run is somewhat closer to their next loss.
There's a question of KP playing as well, and they've got a few injuries starting to pile up as well. So how long
they've played some very good football in the last 2 months. And
I think
Canberra
the home crowd's going to get them across
football.
the line. I think in the end,
I'm going Knights.
Yeah.
I hope they win too.
Yeah.
No, I just can't stand Ricky Stewart.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I mean, how could you argue?
It's funny you say that. I'm not someone that's always like, you know how football, AFL league, it's always sack the coach. And I think that's unfair at a lot of times. I'm not sure Canberra needs to do that, but something needs to change. Ricky has continually deflected. So it's always the ref's fault. It's always someone's fault. Instead of, we played poorly.
Yeah. You see Elliot Whitehead in some press conferences, and he looks embarrassed to be sitting there listening to it. He's going, oh, well, I actually think, I think something a bit different, but I'm afraid to say it.
That Brisbane game I referred to before, and he carried on about those couple of decisions. Okay, one of them might have been a bit 50-50. That wasn't the reason we lost.
That's right.
Brisbane were the better team by a long way. Yeah. I think something needs to change, unfortunately.
And so what you're saying is sack the coach. Good idea. Try scorers in the NRL. We'll quickly go through that. So Jermaine Asako played really well, and I'm kind of happy for Jermaine. He was a good player at the Broncos. He wasn't a fullback's arsehole. He was a really good winger, and he's shown that he's a really good winger by scoring 24 tries this season. He's been ultra consistent. He's a great kicker as well. So
top try scorer and top point scorer
for
a debut team as well.
Well, I think it was the last time. The last time was Mal Meninga, I think, in 94.
Something
doing the toe pokes.
Yeah.
I think it was earlier than that. I think it was 1990 or 91 or something like that.
But he was the last player to do it. So
wow. That's cool.
Top points and top try.
Yeah, and he seems a pretty nice, likeable dude. But he's always been a winger, but he wanted to play fullback and he wasn't very good at it. Dom Young, 23, he came in second. Luke McLeod picked him, the only person to pick him, so triple points for second.
18 points.
Well done.
Nice.
It's pretty good. Yeah. Some really good tries on the weekend. That one, one in particular. Even you look at the still photo of it, it looks amazing. He's just hair and arms and legs and upside down. Then there's a tie for third and fourth, effectively. Alex Johnson with 21 tries, Dallin Watani-Zalesniak with 21, and Michaeli Ravalawa with 21 as well. So 54 people picked Alex Johnson, the other two none. And coming in just below that, Corey Oates with 0 tries. No, Mike Acevo, one behind, so he was suspended for a large portion.
He would have won that if he didn't get suspended.
Yeah, 4 tries, he would have eaten that for breakfast. He was scoring 4 tries in a game at points. So, so a few people getting a few points there, but not a huge amount of points across the Coleman medal and the try score. It's a pretty hard one to pick. When you've got,
I like it though. You need those ones.
Yeah, when you keep tracking it, like I was keep track of votes the whole time. So he got 0 this week, and he got 0.
He's still on 0.
Out of the 2, there was
did he get
how many? Over half of them was 0 people picked them out of the 2.
Yeah, absolutely. So
maybe next year just a bit more wild tipping there.
Yeah. Yes, maybe don't go for the. Well, Alex Johnson did come through the goods for a few people there.
Yep.
But not many points. It's not really worth it. Got a few tips coming up.
Ooh.
Yes. NFL?
Right. Do you want me to?
NFL's both on the same day this week. I forget which day, but I think it's Thursday night. So the NFL, and the NFL is a little bit different because obviously the Super Bowl is until I think first week of February next year. So it is the round that finishes around the 16th, 17th. You'll note it when it's on the sheet, the form. I think it's like the third last round of the year, a week before Christmas.
17th of December, yeah.
It was the week before Christmas.
Twas.
People were checking the NFL score, the ladder.
So the NFL, and then obviously probably the biggest sports event of the year in my eyes in the Rugby World Cup.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know. I guess maybe the female World Cup has taken it over.
To me, I'm saying it was the Ashes this year.
Yeah, Ashes is huge too. But I think on a world stage, the Rugby World Cup is one of the pinnacles. The only one that's really bigger to me is the football, soccer World Cup. So anyway, that's coming up as well. So two pretty, I don't know, they're both two that gets me quite excited because I'll be watching a lot of both these.
Really, it's in France, so what's the Rugby World Cup? What time are we looking at for
I don't know, Matty will know. Schembri will know.
Not great, yeah. So you won't be watching.
Same as Tour de France.
Get up early in the morning, because the games will be like 7, 8 o'clock their time at night, so it'll be early in the morning. So
okay.
If you're an early riser, you might get to see some good footy.
Well, last rugby tip we had, I went with France because of the land mass.
Yes.
I can't use the same thing for the World Cup, otherwise I'll be picking Russia.
Russia's not in it.
They're not in it, so it'll be Australia otherwise. But I'm not going with that. I'm going with home team. You know, they're at home. I'm going France again. They let me down last time slightly. They came second, so it's not so bad.
The reverse curse.
No, not so much. The French could be
cheese.
I think they're going to bring.
Very good chance.
They're going to bring real pain.
Very good chance.
Not champagne. So. Yeah, looking forward to France.
Okay.
Having a bit of cheese and
surrender. What are you going,
Scammers? I'm going with Ireland.
Okay.
Never won a World Cup. It'll be a massive upset, but go the Irish.
I don't think it will. The odds dictate that there's a few teams around that $4 mark, and I think Ireland is one of them.
Except that
Ireland,
it would be
South Africa.
an amazing result for them to.
France and New Zealand.
Haven't they got like a crazy division group?
Yeah, it's
are
a
they
tough
with
group.
New Zealand?
I think they are. Yes.
And Scotland. And Scotland's apparently not bad these days. So anyway, Ireland.
If they get through their group, they'll be fine.
Yeah.
So they've never made it to the semis.
Right. Okay.
So this will be
this is a very unusual team.
Yes.
Sleepless nights maybe. Send him delirious.
No, I mean I hope Ireland do well.
Yeah, it's more hope than anything. But they have a very good side.
Yeah.
Can they compete with the likes of South Africa or France or? I'm not sure about New Zealand.
What's New Zealand's caper this year? I open up the odds expecting New Zealand to be $1.05. You know, like such is their dominance.
I think South Africa should be favourites. I don't know what the odds are, but they look to me to be the best side.
Right.
I'm going a little bit outside the box there, but New Zealand are always going to be pretty good, but I think the pressure of being New Zealand at a Rugby World Cup and they're just not as good as they have been in the past. Yeah.
Actually, New Zealand and France are in this. I think they play the opening game of the tournament. Yeah. So that first game is massive. But so I am going in the box. South Africa.
I think it's a very good tip.
Yes. I just think they're experienced. They're just hard nosed.
And they time it.
Someone different.
They time it to be perfectly
change it. Do
for
something outside of the box.
No, well, I didn't even know it was in the box till Maddie just mentioned.
Japan, change it. Come on, man.
Just because last time you did this, I won.
Stick with them.
No, don't listen to him. Yep. Japan, come on.
They're not the favourites.
Spain.
So,
Who is the favourites?
I think France are favourites.
Okay. Are they?
Yeah, you're in the box.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. Come on, do something different. Pick Japan.
No, I can't. I've already said it. So
you know what, though? Just a really interesting...
I'm going Russia.
Well, I find this very interesting. They just updated the rankings about a week ago, I think. Fiji are ranked ahead of the Wallabies, England, and Wales.
They just smashed England recently in a warm-up game. Mind you, South Africa absolutely annihilated New Zealand.
But I still wouldn't take too much out of that from New Zealand point of view. They'll play much different come World Cup. But so 7's Fiji, 8 Australia, 9... No, it might be 8 England. No, I think it's 8 Australia, 9 England, Wales 10.
Wow.
And England isn't even like, they're in a group with Samoa, and another team that they're expecting them not to even make it to the finals.
Wow. Well, question without notice, where do you both think Australia will finish?
I truly have no idea.
Have a guess.
69.
I think they'll make 69. It out. I think they'll make it out of the group stage.
They have a good group.
Who's in their group? Do you know?
Romania.
Russia, Japan.
I don't know, but I remember looking at it thinking, well,
I think it is Samoa.
I think they were about 13-1 anyway. Was their odds?
Right. Yeah. But if they made it to the semis, that would be an amazing result.
Well,
I don't think they'll make it past quarters.
Could get them to semis.
Yeah.
And Australia's doing pretty well in underdog status in World Cups at the moment.
True.
We're advancing further than
they're not going to win it.
Nah.
They're not.
I'm really looking forward to it as well. I just hope international rugby or professional rugby's become such a box kick game. You know, the halfback picks it from the ruck and box kicked, and then ruck, box kick back. I just hope that we see some attacking flair, not just the back and forth.
Yeah.
I think when you got Fiji and that in the mix, it's going to be a fair array of different styles.
Now, I don't know how we got onto rugby when we were talking about NFL. Just a second
we've shared our tips.
Yeah, okay, so let's go with the NFL.
NFL. You guys go first because this is my second favourite sport after AFL.
So, I'll share mine because I've done very little preparation for it. You saw it beforehand. And I'm sort of interested to know if it's a good pick. Philadelphia.
Okay, Philadelphia Grand Jury.
Very good pick.
Yes. Very good pick?
Yeah, very good pick.
Right. Okay. Why? Because
that'll do.
Philadelphia. Because I felt like a Philly cheesesteak.
Yeah, nice. I like that. Well, I've gone with a bit of a theme across getting into a few sports over the last 6 months or so. I've noticed a bit of a trend here of teams from Florida doing well. So I've looked at Miami Heat did pretty well in the NBA. Obviously, the Florida Panthers in the NHL.
Your boys.
My boys. Brooks Koepka in the PGA has done really well. He's a Florida native. Yeah. So I've gone with the Miami Dolphins.
Ooh, okay.
Is that a good pick?
Fins up.
Yeah, fins up.
Fins up.
Well, there's a good chance of triple points there. That's for sure.
Nice.
Good
chance.
Yeah.
Triple points.
So, the expert.
Yeah.
Look, I had a good look at the ins and outs over So the team I'm going to pick is the Cincinnati Bengals. Now the reason being, so Cincinnati made the Super Bowl 2 years ago and lost to I forget who it was to, but then last year they were in the AFC Championship game, I think, versus the Chiefs, who went on to win it, and they literally were playing with injuries and they were winning. It was like, and they had this open pass, and if you had to hit it, it was basically game over. They gave Patrick Mahomes half a sniff, and that's all you need. Patrick Mahomes is the Kansas City Chiefs quarterback. He's amazing. I don't know, he's not that likable, but he's amazing. And anyway, so they knocked out Cincinnati last year, but the problem 2 years ago when they played in the Super Bowl, that their offensive line, which is the guys that block for the quarterback, was almost the worst in the league, and they made the Super Bowl. So they've been recruiting, and now they've got an incredible, well, not incredible, but a very solid O-line.
Yeah.
Amazing wide receivers, good defense, a lot of X-factor playmakers, and I just think Joe Burrow is the quarterback that is the closest thing to following up Tom Brady.
Okay.
He's that style. Mahomes is very different. He's very flamboyant and got this incredible arm and all the rest, whereas I think Joe Burrow is more of a he's got the mind that he can read the game like a Tom Brady. And I think that he's going to win multiple Super Bowls before he's finished.
How old is he?
Well, this is only his third or fourth year, so he'd be like 25. 24.
So is it Cincinnati Bengals?
Bengals.
Do they sing "Walk Like an Egyptian"? Is that them?
Just another man.
Yeah, right. It's a Cincinnati version. They sing a different song. Cincinnati got to be one of the greatest names, I think, for a place. Cincinnati just sounds good.
It's nice, and they got the nicest helmets.
Do they?
Yeah, what's Bengal Tigers? So they got like the stripes.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
really cool.
Nice. All right, well, that's our tips done for that. That's the finals coming up. So I think go Broncos.
Go Broncos.
Go Carlton.
Go Carlton.
Go Carlton.
You're here, I guess.
Go Knights.
Go the Knights. No. Go the Raiders and up the Wars and all
Up the Wars.
Anything else to say?
No, it's just great to be back.
Yeah, it is.
Well, I got one more thing to say. Keep tipping, keep drinking.